Divas! So today we're doing activity set 8 over here, and we are building a Harry Potter quiz, which you can then edit to make whatever quiz you would like to do. So here's the quiz over here, and I'll just run through it real quick to show you. So you answer the questions, hit get my house, and then you get your answer, and take the test again if you want. So, a couple of things you'll notice. One, the answer is on a different page than the quiz. And so here's harrypotter.php. When I answer the quiz, after I click Get My House, it goes back to harrypotterresult.php. So this is a little bit different than our form that we did last time that emailed you, because that form is going to the same page. This form is going to a new result page, and the reason for that is we want to be able to display a result and not display the whole quiz all over again, and also not display the quiz if there's a result, and not display the result if there's a quiz. So let's go through that. The first objective is to save these 3 files. I have already done that because I know you guys are masters at creating files and copying and pasting. So I'm going to run right through objective 1, which is copying and paste. Remember, replace your username. Replace Katie with your username. And then objective 3 is also copying and pasting. It's copying and pasting. So objective 2 is copying and pasting the harrypotter.php, and that is this page that displays the quiz. And we'll look at that in a second, but I'm just skipping the copying and paste part because I've already done that, since I know you guys are good at it. And the Harry Potter result page is this page right here that shows your result for your house. So we've got 2 different pages. They're PHP because we're doing some work. We're doing some work to compute the result, and anytime we do some work, we name the file .php. And PHP is what does the work. Cool. So now objective 4 is to try the quiz on your site. So this is what I've done after objectives 1 through 3. This is what it should look like for you. It should just be black and white. It doesn't have any of the color or design yet, and it doesn't have the image as well. But I want you to test your quiz and just make sure it works. So I'm going to test it. Cool, it works. So now we can move on to getting the CSS, where we're going to learn something new, and grabbing the image, where we're going to practice something that you guys have probably done before, but is good to practice. Because we're kind of putting all the pieces together here of CSS, HTML, PHP, and so it's good to remember all the different pieces in what we've done so far. So the next thing we're going to do is visit this link, and that's where I've got the full Harry Potter quiz, and it's actually right here. The next thing we're going to do is go to View Developer View Source in Chrome. So make sure you're clicked on the Harry Potter page, on the full one that I did. And while you're clicked on it, go to View Developer View Source. And this lets you view the code of that page. Now what you're viewing is the code that hits the browser, which is the code once PHP has already done the work. So it's not going to look exactly like your PHP on your side, but it is going to look like what the browser gets. So first I wanted to show you this trick of viewing websites. And you can do this with any website. You can go to View Developer View Source, or Developer View Source right there. We're already viewing the source, so it's not available. But you can view the source on any page, and it's always helpful to see what other people are doing as far as how did they make an image look like this, or how did they make the text look like this, or what does the code look like for this list, or whatever else. It's helpful to see what other people have done and kind of copy and paste actually on the internet in the real world. So now you have the tool that you can use. So the next step is to use this tool, use this viewing source, to click on the link to the CSS. So here you'll see, here's the CSS, katie.webdivasclub.org/harrypotter.css. This is our CSS file that we want. So this is the CSS. This is the code that makes this quiz look the way it does. So I want to copy all of that and paste it into my harrypotter.css. Save that. Refresh. Cool. So now it has that design. And I want you to go back later and look at the CSS and see what it's doing and play with all of these things to see what you can do. Right now we're going to focus on going through the steps in the activity set, but just so you know, part of the reason we're adding new CSS here is so you can learn the new rules in the CSS. So the things like adding a border to an image, for instance, or taking out the underline of a link. Things like that. So go back and look at that later. For now, just keep on going through the activity set. The next step is to look at the image. So click on the sorting hat image link to look at the image. So we're going back to the source. Here's the source. And here's the image. I can tell it's the image because it says image source. I'm going to click on this image. This is the sorting hat image. The sorting hat image that you see right here. Click on that image, right click, or actually control click, and hit save image as. Save it as hat. So I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to upload it to my page. Now this, let's take a look at what we just did actually. Let's take a look at our, the Harry Potter page that's on your site. And so it should have this broken image right here. Let's look at the source, view, developer, view source. And we can see that the reason it's broken is that it's pointing to my website, katiebug.webdivas.club.org/hat.png. And I don't have that image hat.png on my server. So what I've done is I've downloaded the image from the example, and I'm going to upload it to my server. So go back and hit upload, and then choose the hat file right there. You hit the check to save. Go back. And now I want to check that that worked. So I can close up the view source, check that that worked. Good. Okay. Now, so now I've got the hat. I've got the CSS. I've got all the pieces of the quiz actually on my server. And the reason that's important is if I were to delete all the code on katie.webdivasclub.org, you would still have this completely as it is. You would have the hat, everything would look exactly the way it is because it's on your server. So that's why it's important. Okay, I'm closing out some of these tabs that I don't need. Now, the next step, go back and test your quiz again to see if it works. Anytime we're programming, you want to test really often because if you do a lot of code and if you do a lot of code without testing, it's harder to figure out exactly what went wrong if something went wrong. So it's helpful to test really often. So I'm going to test it again. Click Get My House. Cool, it still works. All right. So now it's time to play. Develop your own quiz with 4 possible results. And you can use a text editor or you can directly edit your code. So I want to talk a little bit about how to edit the code. So go into harrypotter.php. This part is the easier part probably because it's all HTML and you guys have been doing HTML longer. You change the title here. You guys will rock and roll through this. You can change the values here. And the questions here. So you'll rock and roll through all that. I'll just point out a couple of things that might be a little bit new. One thing is the divs. So a div is like a box, and the reason the div is here is so that we can add this lime green box around question 1. So you can see that all the things that are in the box is everything that's indented between the starting div tag and the ending div tag. So we've got question 1, your favorite animal is, and all the various options, and they're all inside this question box. And it's the CSS that makes that question box lime green. So that's one new piece of code. I think everything else is pretty familiar, so we're going to go on to the results page. So click on Harry Potter result.php. And this is where we've got a lot of PHP. So actually I'm going to click on Get My House again so I can view the result page. And I'm going to show you by looking at the source that this code, this PHP code, does not show up because the work has already been done. So I will again go to View, Developer, View Source. And look, this code is really short. All it does is it displays the HTML, it displays the CSS, it displays my result. But all this code, all this PHP code, all of this right here, that doesn't show up over here. And the reason that doesn't show up over here is because the PHP code, this does the work. This is the work that we are doing on the server before PHP sends the file over. So this is work that happens before a person ever actually sees the code when they go to your website. Okay. So back to this. When you're viewing source, you'll be able to see people's CSS, you'll be able to see JavaScript, you'll be able to see HTML, but you won't be able to see PHP because PHP happens only on the server and it doesn't ever reach the browser, which is Chrome. Okay, so let's go through what this code is actually doing. All these things with question marks, those are variables. And variables are basically like ways to store information. So the variables that we're setting are Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, and Slytherin. And that way we can count every time somebody answers a Gryffindor question, they get a point. If they answer a question with an answer that's a Ravenclaw answer, they get a point. So let's look back at the test. I'm going to have both of these open at the same time so we can look at them. Okay, so what's going on here? When I ask your favorite animal is lion, eagle, badger, or snake, those are the animals for each of the different Harry Potter houses. So if someone says lion, then I'm adding one to Gryffindor. If someone says eagle, then I'm adding one to Ravenclaw. If someone says badger over here, then I'm adding one to Hufflepuff. And if someone says snake, then I'm adding one to Slytherin right here. And so what this plus plus does is it just adds one to that variable. So after someone clicks lion, your favorite animal is lion, Gryffindor is going to be 1. That's the variable. And that variable is going to take on the value 1. And then all of these others are still going to be 0. So what all this code is doing is it's counting each time somebody answers a question for one of the possible answers, it's adding a point for that possible answer. So then the next line, we get the maximum score. And so this is just a function. A function is something that starts with some letters, like a word, and then parentheses, and then it's got variables inside it. So you don't need to worry about all this too much. You know, we're kind of learning a lot here by copying and pasting and changing. But I want to give you just kind of an overview at least because it'll be helpful when you are changing your code to match your quiz. Okay, and then so I've added points based on people's results. So again, if they answer lion, they get a point for Gryffindor. If they answer eagle, they get a point for Ravenclaw. If they answer badger, they get a point for Hufflepuff. And snake for Slytherin. And it goes on and on like that. So question 2, if they say go on adventures, they get a point for Gryffindor. If they say read a book, there we go. If they say read a book, then they get a point for Ravenclaw. If they say help a friend, they get a point for Hufflepuff. If they say devise a good prank, they get a point for Slytherin. So once I've counted all these points, here I'm counting the points for question 1. Here I'm counting the points for question 2. Here I'm counting the points for question 3. And here I'm counting the points for question 4. So I'm saying here specifically, if question 1, if the answer is 1, then give Gryffindor a point. Let's look back at the source. So look at question 1. Value is the answer the person responds. So when they click on lion, the question value they get, that we get in the code, is 1. And we assign the question 1 to the value that they gave for question 1. So if someone clicks on lion, they're going to send a 1. This becomes 1 right here. And question 1 is 1. And so right here, if question 1 is 1, we give Gryffindor a point. Eagle has the value of 2, so if someone clicks on eagle, then a 2 gets sent instead. And so question 1 right here, request question 1 becomes 2. And so question 1 equals 2, and if question 1 equals 2 in this line, we give Ravenclaw a point. And so that's how it goes on. After we've scored all the points, so here we're counting up all the points, the next thing we do is we get the maximum score. So we want to know which of the possible answers scored the highest. I have Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, and Slytherin. And we get an answer, and that's set to max score. Then we want to see what the max score is. So if the highest score is the same as the Gryffindor score, then the result is Gryffindor. If the highest score is the same as the Ravenclaw score, then the result is Ravenclaw. And so on. Then we end our PHP. We're done doing work. Then we display the result. Here's a div. It's the box again. And we say your house is, and then we start to do some work again. We're displaying the result. And so the result is what we picked out right here, that someone has the most points in. So we're displaying that result, and then we give them a link to take the test again if they'd like. So that's it. I want to show you, just give a quick example of how to change some variables here. So I'm just going to quickly change all the variables actually in the whole quiz, just to do a new quiz. I'm going to go to harrypotter.php. And I'm going to say, let's see, what's your favorite type of food? Okay. So the possible answers I'm going to pick, I'm actually going to keep track of this in a text file. It's a little bit easier. So the possible answers that someone can get are candy, vegetables, fruits, and we'll do one more, meat. Okay. And I'm going to remember that the first value is a candy question, the second value is a vegetable answer, the third value is a fruit answer, and the fourth value is a meat answer. So I'm going to give a candy, we'll say Skittles. The second is a vegetable, so carrot, we'll say carrots. Fruits, apple, and meat, bacon. Okay. And then we'll do it again for each one of these. So the first answer is a candy. So we'll say M&M's. Second is a vegetable. Third is a fruit. Fourth is a meat. We'll keep on going like this. Vegetable, potato. Fruit, which we'll say grapes. And a meat, which is beef. Okay. Candy. Why am I blanking on candy? Twix. There we go. Vegetables. Tomato. Fruit. Say banana. And meat. Say hamburger. And then our question is, what is your favorite type of food? And so these questions are all pretty similar, but you get the gist. So my favorite of these. So we're just going to have the same question for all of these. My favorite type of food of these is. My favorite type of food of these is. You can do different questions. I'm just doing this very quickly. And then we'll change the value right here. This is the value of the button. So get my favorite type of food. I'll save that. And then just check that that worked. So what's my favorite type of food? And I see that. Now I need to change the back end as well. And the back is the Harry Potter result. Cool. And so the first variable is going to go to question 1. Or sorry, the different variables I want to account for are candy, vegetables, fruits, and meat. So I know the first one is candy. Change that to candy. Let's see, what was the second one? Vegetables and then fruits and meat. Vegetables, fruits, and meat. Okay, so if question 1 is a 1, then I'm going to give candy a point. And I'll change the comment as well. So if someone chooses Skittles, then I'm going to give candy a point. If question 1 is 2, if someone chooses carrots, then I'm going to give vegetables a point. And these are just comments right here, but they're really helpful to be able to remember what's going on in your code. So we do try to leave them a lot. Fruits. So if someone chooses the third one, which is apple, give fruits a point. And if someone chooses the fourth one, which is bacon, give meat a point. And you want to make sure that your variables match. So here I've got candy and candy, vegetables, vegetables, fruit, fruits, and meat and meat. They all match. Cool. Now I've got to go through and do that for all of these. So the first one is candy on each one in each of these blocks. So that's for question 2. This is for question 3. And this is for question 4. And then vegetables for question 2, for question 3, and question 4. Fruits for question 2, for question 3, and for question 4. And then meat for question 2, 3, and 4. Just make sure everything's spelled right. So right here I've got a little error here. You want to make sure everything's exactly right. In PHP, if something's wrong, you might get a white screen of death. It doesn't work. So you just want to make sure it's all working correctly. And actually you can check. You can save this and just test your code really frequently. The code might not work correctly, but we just want to make sure that we're not getting that white screen that tells us that there's something wrong with PHP. So yeah, so see, we haven't put in our answer yet. It's still saying Slytherin, but it's not the white blank screen, so that's good. Okay, so these are the number of questions that match candy. This is the number of questions that match vegetables. This is the number of questions that match fruits. And this is the number of questions that match meat. So the way we're scoring this quiz is kind of in the form, if you got mostly A's, it's this answer. If you got mostly B's, it's this answer. Mostly C's, this answer. Mostly D's, this answer. That's how it's working. You could switch it up later, but right now we're keeping it really simple by keeping all the A's, all the first answers candy, all the second answers vegetables, and so on and so forth. So then next we update max score. So we got to do this again. Replace this candy. Gryffindor is what candy was. And now Ravenclaw becomes vegetables. Hufflepuff becomes fruits. And Slytherin becomes meats. And then we want to do this again here too. So Gryffindor becomes candy. Ravenclaw becomes vegetables. Hufflepuff becomes fruits. And then Slytherin becomes meats. And then finally, we want to change what we say here. So change this to candy, vegetables, fruits, and meat. Okay. And then we want to change this to your house is. We'll change this to your favorite type of food is. Save that. I'll go back here. Now I can take the test. So I'm going to check the test and make sure it works. I'm going to check a bunch of meats and see if it gives me meats. Click get my favorite type of food, and it says meat. Hooray! It worked! So now from here, the goal is to edit the images, edit the background in CSS. If you want to play with the code to see if you can add more questions, fewer answers, whatever you want to do, try to play with this code through copying and pasting and just kind of seeing what things do. If you have any questions, definitely let me know, and just have fun with it and enjoy. All right, bye.